What's up, everybody? Welcome into the Backliners podcast. It's Agro and Barracuda as per usual. And today we are joined by the resident stats guru we have over at Titan Forge. It's young Max / Innocent Rabbit. But before I realize we have audio issues, I do want to tell you that this holiday season, get Factor and get nutritious, convenient meals to keep you energized on jam-packed days. No wonder it's America's #1 ready-to-eat meal delivery service. Get 50% off Factor with code BACKLINERS50 at factormeals.com/backliners50. Big shout out to Factor. Okay, someone talk and let me know that my audio's not working. Go ahead.
Hello.
Yep.
Hello.
Oh, wait, it's working. Wow, that is a legitimate surprise.
Wow.
I actually did not expect it. Wow, my hair is also a mess. I should have worn a hat for this.
You look
Unlucky.
fantastic.
Nothing we can do. Thanks, Barry. You don't have to lie, though. Max, welcome in to the show, my friend. Thanks for hopping on. Give us your little like Smite background, because before you got hired, you were still a Smite community member. You know.
Yeah, that's true. Well, thanks for having me on. Always a pleasure to hang out with you. So I was trying to be nice.
I'm a cool guy at work, Bear. Imagine that being a thing, huh?
Yeah, cool. Anyways,
right. Okay.
It was I've been with Titan Forge for just over 2 years now. But before that, and before Max, the data guy, I was Innocent Rabbit, the YouTube guy who posted once every year and a half. And that was how I ended up working here. I was doing some funny stuff with the API, and someone internally found it and set off a domino line that led me to where I am now.
That's really funny. I didn't know that that's kind of like how it went down.
I haven't ever told you that. Yeah, that's
No.
completely how it went down. No, someone on the data team saw one of my videos and was like, "Oh, you want to interview for this position that we're having trouble filling?" And I was like, "Sure, yeah, let's do it." And now I'm here.
Data.
Yeah, you like data, I guess.
And you're literally perfect for it. What video was it, and what API stuff were you cooking?
Yeah, no, I was it was a video where I was trying to win a game without dealing player damage, and I used the API to find the current lowest player damage mark of a winning team.
Wow,
as my goal to at least
externally?
Kind of. You can look at the last, now it's a little bit more up in there, but before you could look at the last 60 days ish, and I did that every few months for 4 or 5 months to get the last 6 months, and then I just kind of lied and said that was the historical best because I didn't feel like actually figuring it out fast there.
That's a really good thing about being a stats person, is being a good liar. That's key to using hard data, is to then be able to skew it in a way that supports your argument.
I'm a data person second. First, I'm a storyteller.
Right.
And
sometimes I'm going to say a habitual liar, but that works.
Yeah, right. That's third. It's pathological number 3.
Right.
Number 2,
storyteller, data guy, pathological liar.
Yeah.
Number 3. Yeah, Barry, you were going to say something?
I played a Joust game, and we did 0 damage in one. I don't remember what year it was, but I remember posting that YouTube.
Well, if it wasn't in the last 60 days, then who freaking cares?
Yeah,
am I right?
Yeah, apparently it doesn't matter.
Crap. Wait, your entire team did 0 player damage?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Barracuda, dude, you know that I've made a video. I've claimed this entire thing. There's 100,000 plus views of people lauding over me when it should have been over you. That's hilarious. It's my entire job, really.
Wait, Barra literally stole your brand.
That's crazy.
No,
that was also
brand and made it
by us.
Better, apparently.
Well,
yeah,
wow, you're saying
mine
you're
wasn't good enough.
Well, I mean, clearly not, because Max had already either saturated the market or you just went to market with the wrong strategy, because Max got a job out of it. What did you get out of that YouTube video?
I got kicked.
A couple bucks? I got kicked? Is that what you said? That was the final straw. Wait, when did you post that video? Do you know?
It was years ago, 3 or 4 years ago.
Oh, okay. Wow, that actually may have been a line.
It was a long time ago.
that is comedy. I now have the ability to actually check like all the way back, and I've never done it. I just like never
Mm,
thought to. I
that-
can after this go back if this is me realizing that my not only YouTube career but like professional career is like built upon a lie. Hilarious.
Oh, welcome to the
Comedy.
club. Welcome to the club, brother. I don't know how they let me do what I do. Yeah, it's actually crazy to me. That is really funny. So yeah, like what did you go to school for
No.
like stat or was it
I
storytelling?
am
Is your degree in storytelling, pathological lying, or data?
so no matter what I say, you'll have to question it because my degree is in pathological lying. But
Smart, nice.
aside from that, I went to school for engineering. I got a degree in something called integrated engineering, so computer and mechanical engineering. Um,
Why
I
didn't you ever
just
tell me you were
graduated.
smart, Max? That's like a smart person degree.
Yeah, well, that's why I do all the number things just in my brain. I don't like use
Oh,
calculators or like,
that's
it's
awesome.
all mental math. It's all
Gotcha.
mental math.
You like look
All
at a
of
spreadsheet of like all the matches played in 1 hour, and you just like your eyes just flicker over the whole page, and then you've got it memorized.
Yeah, so instead of, for the entirety of like Smite, High-Res, Timeforge, whatever, no like actual hard math, it's just
No.
me sitting there mental mathing the entire thing.
And you are a pathological liar, as we've already covered.
So I think this is answering a lot of questions about
Yeah. How many
Maybe I
Reddit
shouldn't have gone on this
posts?
podcast.
Yeah, that will spawn.
Yeah.
So was
No,
data
no,
just
no, no.
like was data parsing just like a hobby of yours that you were like interested in, or is that like key in that degree, that like area
Yeah.
of work?
Yeah, no, you do a lot of stats, and like kind of the analysis side is just it's in the entire process of the degree. But once I started to get into the computer engineering side of things, started to look more into like a lot like machine learning stuff, which is really just stats on roids, and that kind of started to build out my like stats background. And then I was like just like working on stat stuff, and I was playing Smite on the side, so I was doing the logical thing of doing both of them at the same time,
Yep.
which got me here. Actually, I spent an entire like the first like COVID summer, I was playing a lot of Smash Bros, and I did a big like actually like deep stats dive on my YouTube channel about like this really cool like statistical analysis of like Smash Bros Online, and it's
Hmm.
by far my least viewed video of all time.
I'm
And
gonna
I
be
put
honest,
probably
Max, this is gonna be a both a positive and a negative thing that is about to come out of my mouth. Okay.
yeah, I know, but yeah, say it.
I'm gonna be honest with you. I've never seen one of your YouTube videos.
Oh,
I've never
okay.
seen one. I am
That's
going to go and watch that video. I mean that sincerely. That sounds really interesting to me.
I appreciate it, but there's a few bangers on there that are
I might
much
check it
more
out.
interesting than that one.
Well, are any about like pitch sequencing? Because that's like also Max and I, for to let everyone in on the little inner joke there. We are both big baseball fans. Before I joined Hi-Rez, yeah, Max is rocking the Blue Jays hat. Before I joined Hi-Rez, I was producing a show that went on before and after Pittsburgh Pirates games. And something that I would do a lot is there are a lot of great baseball stat sites, because baseball is just the sports MOBA. And there's in particular like Fangraphs had a lot of pitch usage types of statistics that I think the whole game boils down to pitching and hitting, of course. And I think pitch sequencing is one of the most interesting things in the history of humanity, personally. Like
it's right up there.
just
Just
because
like
it's so
all of
it's so
humanity.
mental and it's so physical at the same time. It's why I think penalty kicks are
Man.
really cool in soccer, because it's more mental than physical, but there's still a physical aspect. Like those are the types of things that like really get me excited.
Aggro, man, I'm gonna tell you right now, if you walked up to like any person on the street and said, I think that baseball pitch sequencing
It's
is one
so
of the most interesting things in human history,
Yep.
you'd be institutionalized.
Yes, but I'd be spitting truth in the institution. That's all I'm saying. Like,
And I say that as like a big baseball fan.
I know,
Like
but it
was
is
like my
so
sport.
interesting. Like, let's say the pitcher's got a fastball, a slider, and a changeup. First pitch is a fastball up and away. What does that set you up for on the next pitch? Like, does that mean that the hitter is going to be expecting another fastball? Do you want to change their eye level? Which side of the plate they're on? What their hitting tendencies are? What you've thrown in previous career at bats against that player or in that particular game? Like, there are just like intricate levels of it that go so far down, and I just think that is like the coolest thing. Being able to like craft the perfect pitch sequence and then it's like, oh, and then do the most impossible thing ever, which is throw this ball 95 miles per hour and have it dip 18 inches at the same time. Like, I don't know. It's just sick thing. I don't know how I even got started thinking about it, but now I'm thinking
about my YouTube video. So now So my YouTube video pitch sequence is like Smite content, Super Smash Bros. Content, which bombed. Right. Smite content, and now baseball content.
Yes.
I think that you've sequenced me better, and you've set me up for success in the future. So I really appreciate that.
When I'm looking at your pitch sequence here, Max, you seem a little Smite heavy.
It is.
The hitters
are
going to be able to
sit
heavy on the Smite, and they're going to just smash it, which is, I guess, actually what happens because that's your view count going higher. They're smashing the like button, of course,
as they should, yeah.
And that's all happening. Yeah, wow, that my brain is like, I literally cannot get off thinking about pitch sequencing now.
Sequencing.
So let's get on topic before I completely derail us. Max is a key part of how we make our balanced decisions. I'm sorry to expose you to this.
It's tough.
There's
certain things that I don't want to be associated with, but I know that I have to.
Right.
And I've already brought this one upon myself.
Yeah,
I've responded to balance things on Twitter and
Reddit and that kind of stuff.
It exists now, yeah.
Yeah, no, it is. I remember when I first started joining balance meetings in season 4, now every Redditor like, oh, that's why the game sucks in season 4.
Were you joining balance meetings in season 4?
Season 4, yeah. I've been doing balance meetings for almost 6 years. Isn't that insane?
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah, I wasn't like during the season. I would usually only go to 1 per week because we usually have 2 to 3, and we would be casting on Thursdays. And there were stretches where I wouldn't be able to make it, but I would say I've definitely got over 5 years worth of balance meetings like under my belt.
You still haven't fixed Smite.
And I still haven't fixed it.
That's crazy.
And in some ways, I've made it worse, like objectively.
Yeah. But remember how when I joined the balance meetings, it instantly became way better. I just want that on record now.
And when do you think Reddit
don't
will
look
think
so
that
dumb.
is? And when do you think they will be like, yeah, that lines up,
No, this whenever there's a patch that was really good, I was around a lot for that one.
Right.
And I want that on record.
Right. And then sometimes you take off and we are lost, which is actually legitimately true. But yeah, like what without letting the full cat out of the bag. I mean, there's nothing to there's no cat to be let out if we're just like being real, right? Like it really is just like talking about our philosophies, and we've got internal, things like goals that we want to hit and all that kind of stuff. But they aren't given to us by marketing or the mystical, like it's not like Stu coming down from on high and giving us his balanced philosophy. It's like things that we've decided we've seen work in the game or hasn't worked, and just trying to make people as happy as we can while also keeping the game as interesting as we can, and that just comes from discussions and looking at SPL stats and other player stats and just kind of coming to a conclusion. So yeah, from your perspective, what are some of the things that you've learned on the stats side?
Okay, yeah, I was wondering where the question was, and I
didn't know where it was either, to be honest with you.
I didn't know if there was one.
No, I have an answer to this. I have an answer to this generalized thing because I've talked about it a bit on Twitter and Reddit. I can pick up what you're trying your very best to put down.
Yeah.
Which is, from my perspective, data side, is that the data should only ever be used as a supplement to finding out uh, balance decisions that make sure that the game doesn't get out of hand in one way or another as far as too strong or too weak.
Mm-hmm.
And the remainder of balance decisions should be made around creating an interesting and fun game state.
Mm-hmm.
So perfect balance isn't the goal. I think that a lot of, and again, I can only really speak to this as far as I've been associated with it to give an actual answer to that. It's probably been for real since like early or 2023. We'll talk like March or April.
Mm-hmm.
Looking at making sure that that the outliers kind of get brought in as fast as possible, but that the numbers don't guide everything, because I think there's been a lot of times in the past where aiming for a 50% win rate on all gods has resulted in a lot of negativity. There's certain characters that have to be below a 50% win rate
Mm-hmm.
overall because they have certain people who can play them to a completely oppressive extent. There's other characters that people are fine having above a 50% win rate because they don't feel bad to play against.
Mm-hmm.
So the numbers of it all aren't the end all be all. This is my disclaimer
Mm-hmm.
to being the data person on the side of balance. And then the kind of like second pillar of the philosophy would be the three P's, is that there's the pros, there's their performance, and there's their perception, and they can all be kind of quantified in their own way.
Mm-hmm.
And you have to make sure that all three of those are taken into account. If you ignore one of them, then it'll be felt somewhere. And I've done my best over those kind of, let's say, 8 months that I've been associated with it to try to ramp up the way that we display those in clear and effective ways. And we've had some really good hits. I think we've had some patches that have come out and we've really nailed it. And there's been other patches that we've come out and I've been like, oh, I have to write like a Twitter post and a Reddit thread like right now, or else my job is in danger. Okay, I get it. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh,
I mean,
yeah.
it's also the nature of the multi-season year, you know.
Yep. Yeah.
That it's going to be a more volatile game, and that was something that we knew kind of coming into this season structure.
Yeah. And I also think that one thing that I'm sure you've talked about before, but I'll reiterate, is that we try our best to predict the future just because of what we do.
Mm-hmm.
We make decisions without all the information. We make them ahead of time, and there's certain constraints to how long we can make a decision before it actually goes live. And things sometimes change kind of out of the blue. That's the nature of MOBAs. And every once in a while, we've made a change. We've been like, oh yeah, this god like hasn't been getting played, and they're not doing too well. Let's give them some love here and there. And then in the week before the patch, they just start getting played pro level, every level, and then they're just the best god in the game out of nowhere. And
Mm-hmm.
we show up to the balance meeting, and Aggro and Lermy both just have like shell-shocked faces, and I sit there and I laugh at them a little bit when I tell them what's happening.
Yes. Yeah, that happens literally every week. There is something along those lines that, because the game just changes on its own, we will always. It's like hackers versus antivirus software, right? Like the antivirus industry is always behind the people who are hacking because they are responding. And the nature of our job is to respond. So that means we are going to sometimes be more behind, sometimes be less behind. And we've definitely learned our lesson in the past on we can't get too far ahead if we know that something is overperforming. But Max mentioned the three Ps. If the pros and the perception aren't there, but their performance is, we are much more likely to let something go. We had a change. There's one that I can think of earlier this year. Oh, it was a Kali nerf. Kali was top 5-ish for months and months and months. Her ranked ban rate, which is something we really closely pay attention to, because that's a really good perception indicator, was starting to climb, and we were like, okay, we think that the performance has been overly like obvious. We think the perception's there. Let's go ahead and pull the trigger on a nerf. And we got nothing but, why are they nerfing Kali? Like, what are they doing? and that's
Yeah, I
because
think
we
I-
just
Mm.
pulled the trigger a little early on the perception, and she didn't have pro presence at the time. Barry, you were gonna say something?
Yeah, I remember that change in particular, and I was like, I haven't seen a Kali in my games in like months, and I
Mhm.
was like, why are they just randomly nerfing Kali? Like that literally doesn't make sense. Like from my perspective, I
She
was like,
looked
that
at me
character's
wrong,
dead.
bro. She looked
Yeah,
at me
like-
wrong.
Yeah.
I was
Yeah.
like, there has to be something in the data or something somewhere for them to randomly nerf it, because I assume they're not just like spinning a dartboard around and just throwing it. It's like, oh, it hit Kali, time to nerf Kali.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, from our perspective, it was just like completely random, like out of the dark.
That's what I was actually gonna ask you, Bear. I was like, so if our job is to kind of, try our best to predict a certain amount into the future about
Mhm.
where things go, did you feel that it was your job like specifically to screw us over? I was just wondering if that's
Partly yes, and it was really funny because sometimes, like, basically exactly what you guys talked about, where we would start scrimming with something and be like, "Oh, this is OP," and then the next week it gets buffed, and we're like, "Oh, this is like permaban worthy now. Like,
Mhm.
now we have to deal with this for like it would be like a week or two, and it's like, okay, now we have to deal with this for another month or whatever. Like,
Yeah.
or like hopefully it gets nerfed in like bonus balance or whatever."
Mhm.
But yeah, it's a really weird balancing point that you guys have to do without being able to watch pro players scrims.
Mhm.
Because if you were able to like just watch like one team a day or like one scrim per team a day, or just kind of like sit in like for like 5 minutes and just see, or like even look like post game stats and just see what's going on. I feel like that would help a lot versus like, oh, it's the weekend, it's SPL time. Oh no, Raijin's in the solo lane. Woohoo! Like,
Yeah,
now we
I
have
think
to
it
deal
would
with
help.
this.
It would certainly help a little bit, but I think it would also I don't think we could react to the majority of those things anyways
Mhm.
because like I said, we have gotten a lot of feedback over the years that we aren't our players typically don't want us to be too early on something.
Oh, that's fair. Yeah.
Being too late is a greater sin than being too early, but not by that much. There have been a lot of like, look at old seasons and you'll see some, I'm trying to think of a bit of like a clear example, but let's say we add in a bunch of magical lifesteal items and then we nerf Anubis in the same patch because he's the best magical lifesteal user. We know that he's going to rise to the top of the meta, so we're going to nerf him because we're introducing all these things. We get a lot of negative perception typically on a nerf like that. Players typically, some subsect of vocal players, I don't think it's, we know that of course that, Reddit, Twitch chat, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, like literally everywhere we look is still a very small vocal minority, but they are our most enfranchised players as well. So, we obviously want to like take what they're saying seriously. And players usually want to get confirmation that something is going to be OP instead of having us say, trust us, this was going to be OP. Where there's obviously been mistakes along that same line and saying, oh, we can wait and let it ride for a patch or whatever. But in general, I think our players, there's always going to be the strongest thing to do, the most broken thing to do. And it's just a matter of making sure that those don't stay stagnant and that it's the best thing to do and the worst thing to do are both changing frequently. Is my general thing. Max, any thoughts on the getting there early?
Yeah,
perception.
I mean, it's like getting there early versus getting there late. I think that we have examples from just this past year since let's say my watch started, where we were late. A specific manticore was basically the reason that I'm now at least publicly associated with balance to an extent. And it's one of those things where you make a change, and especially if it's a bonus change, when there's like a 2-week window between a bonus balance and a main patch balance, and you, or at least let's say that I don't have the insight into it, but let's say the generalized design balance team, right? No individual, but the team as a whole thinks that it is enough to take the numbers from where they are and kind of bring them into a range that's acceptable. Uh, Often it's really hard to know whether it'll actually do that. A and B, there is this kind of effect of a character being good that if they don't become actually bad, they stay perceived well.
Mm-hmm.
Because they have been oppressive, they have been strong. And for a character to like slowly go from being really good to being an average balanced character is like a nearly impossible transition to make via like balance changes.
Mm-hmm.
It's almost like time plus balance plus itemization. It's a whole thing to get there. So getting there late is happens when you don't get early enough, right?
Mm-hmm.
But going early, what I was thinking of that exact example that Barra said with uh a god being good in scrims and then getting buffed and then going, oh no.
Mm-hmm.
To talk to one this year, we Ares, I think this year
Yeah,
was
that's a good
a
one.
character that
Oh
was
yeah.
this was getting a spicy buff as it's been referred to.
Mm-hmm.
Uh and that spicy buff, because it was a bigger design question of how do we change this character up design wise in the balance to make them more interesting to play, that's being cooked up for longer than what a normal balance shift looks like.
Mm-hmm.
So as that change is being made, the play rate stats are getting looked at, and somewhere else it's decided that they're gonna get a buff because their numbers are too low, their play rate's too low, all that stuff. So they get buffed, and then in the time between the first buff and the spicy buff that gets announced, the Ares went from being below average win rate, below average pick rate character to just being insane, like one of the
Yep.
best guardians in the duo lane. And then it got announced that he was getting all these big changes that generally made him better. And it was definitely one where we moved early. Like we moved early on something because we saw, hey, this character is struggling. It's not a nerf early, but it was a buff early. I don't think anyone was really asking for the Ares buff in retrospect. Uh, but yeah, then that whole thing went down and we had to work really quickly. And I thought that we caught that one on the tail end pretty quick. We brought
Yeah,
down
we
Kane's
squeezed
damage.
in a nerf. We squeezed in a nerf. I
Yeah.
think that same patch, which was good, but that was very
Yeah,
much
and
last minute. I remember that.
yeah, and I think that kind of, let's say, saved it being acting too late, but it was definitely one where we, in a way, acted too early on something. So
Yeah.
it's still gonna be difficult to get right, but at least I think that we've had a few really good, accurate passes where we have had that idealized version of a balanced pass to something that kind of slow tails it into being an average character so that can still be played, still be fun, and not just completely killed in recent patches. But
Mm-hmm.
you know, misses are gonna happen. It's impossible to get completely right. And if it was always perfectly balanced game, then there'd probably be a little bit less interest in it anyways. So that's my
Yeah.
copium of the whole situation too.
No, I'm right there with you because this is something that I've always said when it comes to balancing the game or a game, whatever it may be. Like, first of all, how do you know that you've gotten there? You know what I mean? Like, it's not like bells go off everywhere. Like we
Yep.
found the secret combination. How do you know when it's balanced? And then what do you do? Do you just not touch it for the rest of time? Like you preserve it in amber? Like this is the balanced meta? Like
Ymir's too.
yeah, exactly. Ymir's too. It's just like it's not. That was like a really key lesson for me to learn. Was because man, I used to like, I started going in season 4. I think by season 5, I had kind of found because working in a balance meeting is there's a natural kind of like flow to it, and you want to like, especially when those were like in-person meetings, and I wasn't a designer, so I'm kind of like coming in and the types of, you have to kind of learn like what types of suggestions are viable, how to interpolate data and like interpret it properly in order to like find the right change. And what changes are effective. Something that we say all the time. Max, again, I'm going to refer to it as the three P's of pros, performance, and perception. It's just so clean.
Oh, I know. I love it. I'm a big fan of my own thing.
We have lots of changes that might more heavily affect one or two of the P's, but leave one untouched. A really good example is alt cooldowns. Alt cooldown changes heavily impact pro thoughts, and because pro thoughts and perception are really closely tied more than any other two, that will have it's like a full hit on pros, it's a half a hit on perception, and it barely ever does anything at all to their performance, like statistically. But if it addresses the other two, then we're kind of good. So you kind of learn those types of things. And man, I used to
also
stress. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, it's just because and to that point, right? Like a pro game is a lot more built off of the team coordination, which revolves around stuff like alt timers. So if you were to look at actually just the performance in pro games of an alt cooldown hit, it's gonna have a bigger impact than in your ranked queues or anything like that, because you're playing a much more individualistic game.
Absolutely.
So I think you've chosen the perfect example of it, but I just wanted to clarify that I think that it actually is a performance hit to the people who care about it, right?
Yep.
But then the perception change comes a lot more from that generalized discussion coming from the pro level down.
Yes. No, that's a great clarification. But yeah, I used to really stress about I don't want to try and nerf the wrong thing or buff the wrong thing, or we went too hard on this, whatever it may be. And I think it was AJ at one point was like, hey man, we're going to get some wrong, we're going to get some right, we're going to get credit for some things that we didn't mean to do, or we're going to get bashed for things that we know are good, and the goal isn't to balance it, it's to make it more fun. And I think that was a really good lesson, that in my opinion, every designer in a balanced position comes to learn eventually, because it's just not possible. Like I said, it's an end goal that isn't possible. It's the dog chasing the car, and then it's what are we doing when we get there anyway? So
I do think that something that we've been doing recently, which this is me tooting my own horn, to be completely fair, but
please
I think that it's not just me, obviously I'm just the one who kind of works with it, but on the technical side, we've been doing a lot more things to capture different elements of data that we didn't have before for balance meetings. Like the one that you guys referenced it a bunch in the last patch notes show is that we've been looking a lot more at where in the game state gods are performing above or below, and how they're performing above or below at that specific time, which gives a little bit more clarity to exactly what needs to be adjusted. And I think it's been a cool addition, at least because I think that I am being obviously the most skilled Smite player on this call.
Right. Well, when he's playing Mercury, Bear, here's something you need to know.
Yeah.
Max is not allowed to play test Mercury because he has a 110% win rate on the god.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's
really?
crazy.
Yeah, you think of adapting Mercury, Mask Mercury, Sam for Soccer Mercury.
Yeah, who are those guys?
All complete chumps in comparison to Innocent Rabbit Mercury.
What does he do? What do you do differently?
He hits better. He punches.
I don't lose.
Yeah,
I don't lose the main one.
Just
if he's about to lose,
I feel like the other people try to win too much, and I just refuse to lose. It's and you have to believe the 110% win rate number, because I am a pathological liar with stats. Is the thing you have to remember? Yeah.
Well, so is Agro.
No.
We've been knowing.
He's on your side. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. No. I've shown him. the numbers. They check out.
It's true.
No, what I was gonna say though is, as a certified high plat low diamond player, I often have an amount of insight, but it's a lot more interesting for me to kind of lob the information that I have at the more experienced players that sit in balance meetings and see what you guys take away from it. And often you guys disagree a lot more heavily than I would disagree with someone who like plays at my level, I think. I think there's a lot more perspectives that differ in like a really good way. It leads to like a more like in-depth conversation about what exactly things are meant to do and what's the most fun and interesting way for things to exist. And yeah, I think that it's just an interesting kind of back and forth that we get to have where I can represent, let's call it the average committed kind of player who plays a good amount but isn't anything crazy. Has been playing well. Yeah, except my Mercury.
Right.
Except the Mercury. But yeah, so I don't know. It's a cool dynamic and it's something that I enjoy doing.
No, I think that perspective is really valuable, because that is something that I continue to need to work on. I think is my bias towards the impact it will have at higher levels, and trying to keep in mind the majority of the player base is something I've certainly improved upon, but always have room to grow in, I think. But I think that, you know, in an ideal world, we would literally have like a silver representative. Like we'd have a gold representative. Like we would have literally someone from each division, someone who only plays arenas, all that kind of stuff. And that's not to say that the person who's only playing casual arenas would have final say on a god buff or nerf, but just having access to that perspective on like, hey, what makes this character frustrating for you? What makes this character feel bad to use? You know, all those sorts of things. Like, there's no such thing as an invalid piece of feedback on how the game feels to someone, but it also can't just be how it feels to one person because the game is so, you know, has so many infinite variables. But yeah, you know, I think that's certainly a valuable part of it. Something I wanted to get your perspective on, Max, and it's kind of me springing it on you because it's something that I was thinking about after one of our discussions earlier this week. I think we were talking about, you know, perception of balance changes, all that kind of stuff. And I think we were talking about being early or being late, and how they both have their downsides. And I was also thinking about the intensity of balance changes. And Bear, I also want your opinion on this. I think that this year, in large part, and this is not to blame you, Max, but to instead give you credit, I think we've been much better about making smaller, more targeted changes to address problems than being a little bit more heavy-handed. Where in the past, hey, Raijin is a problem, we're just gonna hard slash a bunch of numbers. You know what I mean? Whereas now we go in, we do a little bit more deep dive, and we can address that problem a little bit more clearly. But like you were saying, once a character is good, you have to get them below the point of where they were before sometimes in order to get people to get pros in particular to stop playing them. And I think that a little bit of the frustration around our balance at times this year has been, I think in a vacuum, I'm going to stand by every decision we made, literally every single one, because whether it be the information at the time or, you know, okay, not literally every single one. I'm sure there were some that were really
They both, honestly.
Yeah, both. I wanted to, man, but no, I'm sure there are some really terrible ones. But like for the most part, like, you know, we don't want to make excuses on time frames or, you know, information being incomplete, whatever it may be.
Yeah.
But I think for the most part, a lot of the changes we've made have been so honed in. I'm not trying to be like we're so good at our jobs that people aren't like seeing it, but like that isn't what our players are looking for, and that's fine. And that's something that I've taken away is that we need to be a little bit more. If we're nerfing something, we need to nerf it, not make it worse. You know what I mean? Like before you talk, Max, because I feel like it's just been me droning on and Max also saying things and Barad having to smile and nod.
Yeah, this has been awful for me.
Yeah, I bet. You're really you're putting in the work hours right now.
I spent 20 minutes earlier trying to find that YouTube video and I couldn't find it, and you guys were just having a great conversation the whole time.
Yeah. What do you feel like as a player, Barra? Do you feel like you prefer, hey, this is OP, it gets gutted on first opportunity, or trying to notch it down kind of step by step?
That depends on the character for me. It's kind of related to the 3Ps you guys were talking about. But one of the perceptions for me is kind of annoyance factor when I play against the god. And that is a big issue for me because I mean people in chat were talking about it, but like a god like Kumakarna, like
Yeah.
if that god is viable, he's going to feel way worse to play against than a god like Hachiman. Like Hachi's never going to be really that character that's like, holy cow, you let through Hachi, like wow.
Right.
He was
Like,
pretty good earlier this year, if I remember correctly. You know, that's all I'm saying. We gave
Yeah,
him a
but it's-
little nerf. You know.
Like playing against the character doesn't
No,
feel
I know what
like
you're saying.
suffocating.
Right.
It doesn't feel like, oh, this character is so frustratingly annoying to play against. But if a character is like that, kind of like, it's like the win harder characters, but also mixed in with the I don't make the enemy play the game or have fun playing the game.
Mm-hmm.
And when those kind of characters get a lead, it becomes very annoying to play the game for the next 15-20 minutes until you lose.
Right.
Or just healers in general sometimes, like the patches where Hell was strong or like Guan was strong. I mean, healers have always been like an issue, but I think you guys fixed that relatively with the healing balance change earlier this year. But
Mm-hmm.
if a god isn't that annoying or that high on my annoying scale, like OP scale, then I think it's fine for the small changes, the small tunes. And I do agree with you guys that pros take a long time to adapt to these changes sometimes because you get stuck in this mindset of playing with the character.
Mm-hmm.
Like we'll talk about like Raijin and solo. Like you're used to your team fights being around Raijin and solo. You're used to the pressure he's putting on the map. You're used to the amount of totems you're getting. You're used to a lot of these factors. And then swapping back to a warrior or swapping back to a traditional frontliner sometimes is harder or worse than just continuing the style of game that you've been playing for the last 3 to 4 weeks.
Right.
And trying to like swap that in like a week before your next SPL set is like playing a whole different Smite game.
Right.
Same with like ability based hunters sometimes, because then you have to like refocus the rest of your draft around like fire giant DPS or like poke style of comps or what we really want to define our comp with. And then it kind of goes the other way as well for, I'm sure, I know Agro's talked about it a lot, but having to buff a character above average to where the pros then want to play it. Because
Mm-hmm.
it's the same issue of we haven't played with, say, Cthulhu in 6 months.
Yep.
And now Cthulhu's been buffed 4 times in a row over 3 months. Okay, now let's start drafting him. And then that brings in like, oh, do we still have to, or do we have to start thinking about like Morrigan comps? Do we have to start thinking about like yellow damage comps? Like, how are we going to kill the Cthulhu? Do we have to start drafting walls now? And once you start picking Cthulhu, other teams start picking Cthulhu. And then that opens up a whole can of worms and scrims of, do we even want to play this and show other teams how good it is? Because then they'll start playing it, then other teams will start playing it in scrims. So it just opens up that door as well. So yeah, back to the original question. It just depends on how annoying a character is for me. I know like gods like Freya as well. Like gods that only have damage in their kits are really frustrating to play against because
Sure.
they're either above the threshold of killing you or they're below the threshold. It's like it's been Raijin's whole identity for I don't know how long. He's either like OP, picked every game, or like you don't
Completely
see him
worthless.
for half of a year.
Yep.
Yeah. It just depends on the god's annoying factor for TLDR. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's almost like that's pretty similar to I think that ties into what I'm saying with the some gods just can't be like you can't have them at 50% because at 50% they feel unbalanced.
It's true.
And I think that that's really fair, and I think we've been trying to take steps to identify those characters better. I think that there are some things that we've done in the past to be able to identify that, but there's some cool kind of I was lucky enough to get a bunch of people respond to like effectively a poll that I put up on Twitter about which characters they thought were like the most needing of getting nerfed. And looking at those kind of results, we're able to pull out a few more things that kind of more often you have a really cute dancing dog behind you, Vera.
Me?
Trust me, it was happening. There's just some things that kind of stood out as being like, oh yeah, this is like definitely a thing that just one of the things that I'll spill light beans on is that from at least what we were seeing, characters that were for whatever reason, if they were had well for whatever reason, if their kind of curve was earlier in the game, if that's where they performed better, they were just more likely to be a character identified as needing a nerf, even if they had the exact same win rate, right? And I think that one's kind of a little bit intuitive to understand. You're always going to be seeing the early game of a character. Not every game gets to lay it. But just small things like that to pick up on and try to find better and better ways to identify. So yeah, I would agree. I'd say as a even not at a pro level, you know, you're talking about all the drafting picks of Walls, Cthulhu, all that stuff. My thoughts don't get that far. I'm just like, I don't really want to play against Freya right now. I've actually, if you could look at my ranked like ban logs for the last 3 months, maybe, I have banned Susano every single game I'm in for the last 3 months. Not a good character. I just refuse to play in. Well, I think he's pretty good, but obviously, but I just refuse to play in the same game as that god.
Yeah.
And my life is better for it. I'm happier. I am living more stress free. It's
Nice.
yeah. Thank you.
Use your therapy. That's
exactly.
Yeah.
I'm seeking my peace by doing that.
Yeah,
well, we've got a
I'm
way
the
to help
same
with that
way.
as well, Max. I gotta tell you, this is
Oh,
so
no
easy
way.
for me. This show is sponsored by BetterHelp. I was gonna talk about a whole different thing right now, but when you see when the lob goes up, you slam it down. You know, that's just how it goes.
You simply have to.
Listen, holidays are coming up. This time of year is a lot of fun. For many people, it's seeing family, but it's also very, very stressful. It definitely is for us. You know, we always go home to Pittsburgh, and both my mom's side of the family and my dad's side of the family, since they're divorced, and my wife's family, we have 3 families we have to go to for all Christmas things, and it's great, and I love it. And I also like dread it every year because it's just so much stress and so much like, you know, are we going here enough? Are we seeing these people enough? All that kind of stuff. So I always get really stressed this time of year. And let's just say my therapist is well acquainted with our holiday stresses, because this is definitely something I've talked with her a lot, and it's always been really, really helpful. So, you know, this time of year can just be that type of stress generator for a lot of people. And if that's the case for you, then I highly, highly, highly suggest you try out BetterHelp. They can help you give therapy a try. It's entirely online. It's designed to be convenient, flexible, and suited to your schedule. All you have to do is fill out a brief questionnaire to get matched with a licensed therapist, and you can switch therapists at any time for no additional charge, which is really great. So find your bright spot this season with BetterHelp. Visit betterhelp.com/backliners today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/backliners. Big shout outs to them. Okay, before that, I was going to say I had such another dunk. I had to choose between my 2 alley-oops. It was that Bera had stumbled upon the secret 4th P. Did you know that there's a 4th P, Max?
I didn't.
I just, it looks like Barra doesn't even know that there's a secret 4th P.
No one knew that there was a 4th P.
And he discovered it.
It's preference. It's preference. You know, if you want to play against them, if they're popular characters, if you don't like them, you know, and preference can extend even to the people on the balance team, and that's why I think, like, you know, people make a lot of comments about, oh, it seems like some of these changes, these buffs are just like random, and they aren't. They are really centered around perception, performance, and if you don't want to use some of those three, then all you're asking for are buffs based on the secret fourth P, which is preference. And I don't think that that's like necessarily what people want to be happening. You know, you don't want to just be at the mercy of, I hope our designers like, you know, my gods or whatever. And, you know, there's always the memes
Zeus.
of like the mage mains. Yeah, exactly. That's all, like having me and Clumsy here and all that kind of stuff. And like, I think some people do take it seriously, which is, you know, whatever. But we definitely do consider the frustration of playing against these gods heavily. And we can use those to, you know, if a character is in need of a slight touching and we can go ahead and nerf the most frustrating part of their kit, then that's usually a spot that we want to go to.
I mean, I think you can look no further than Vamana getting absolutely gutted and put in a timeout cell after his rise to prominence earlier this year. And I think that the preference associated with that is that playing against his ult feels like a very small kind of like space of counterplay that isn't even really that intuitive. And that boy has been dead for a minute now, and I think it's generally preferred that way. And maybe there's a world where that can be kind of revisited and that character can kind of be explored, but there's no way that he, you know, goes back to where he was before in the way he was before, because that caused such a, what I will describe as like a long-standing preference bias that will exist for a while now. So I agree. I think that preference is, and that's one that's really hard. That's where the variance will always come from, right? We're never going to be able to account for everyone's preference. The one thing that I'm gonna say associated with preference, right? And this I do not mean to say this as a shot to the instant reactions of patch notes, but the amount of times that the perception of balance changes are based on the way that they're read the very first time, and they are, you know, hyped up to be one thing because of a certain character or whatever, and then 5 days after the patch drops, no one's even playing the character, no one's playing the god. It's happened enough times that I'm convinced that like there is that, you know, secret fourth P, this preference that's like, oh yeah, that has to be broken. Surely that's broken. The character is annoying as anything. And then it goes live and it's like, oh yeah, they're not that good. It's fine. But the statement was already made, and it's tough to counteract that once it's already felt. So
yeah, no, I mean, a good example was Apollo getting his spicy changes. You know, the reaction was so intense on like, this has got to be so OP. We heavily nerfed him in that first bonus, and by the time that patch came around, it was very obvious that he was not super OP. But because we are beholden to a schedule, which is not, you know, anything out of the ordinary in game development, we just end up looking a little out of touch. But if we oftentimes have these discussions of, can we afford to wait here? Like, if we think, okay, we really don't think that there's a lot of smoke, you know, there's not a lot of fire up behind this smoke, like, can we just wait that extra 2 weeks to see what people think? And that's really what it comes down to, is like, if we think we will get, there's no world in which people aren't mad. It's just, are people more mad that we did it too early, or more mad that we did it too late? And that's just kind of case by case basis. But there's an example of one where we felt like we would get more frustration if we were late on it, because there was so much intense feedback right away on patch notes and then during that PTS cycle, that we decided to go to make sure that it was in there. And then, you know, lo and behold, Chernobog still top pick, top ban months later. And no one said a single thing about those Chernobog changes, I feel like the, Bear, I know we talked about them because you're an ADC main and we've got this podcast, but like, there weren't Reddit threads about Chernobog. And there weren't, like, when I was watching back patch notes reviews by, Incon Weekend, like, I always try and watch those from a lot of different content creators. Like, they were all still so hopped up on the Apollo change that the Chernobog change like wasn't even on the radar. But we knew, like, internally, I remember us talking, Max, and we were like, surely Chernobog's the better hunter after this, right? Like, it's not even close.
Surely he's insane.
And
he was.
And it turns out.
What was his numbers right after that spicy change?
Oh
was it
God.
3 seconds on the 2?
No, I think it was 5 or 6.
It was 5? Okay.
Yeah, it was 5
Okay,
or 6.
it wasn't as crazy. No, it was Cab that was taken down.
Right, it was Cab, right. Yeah. That's how it be sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
Go ahead, Barry.
I remember playing the Chernobog and Apollo, and like after that patch, I think we talked about it on the podcast, or maybe it was just like with my team. I was like, I think both of these are gonna be OP, and then after playing like a week, I was like, yeah, Apollo's just still bad, unfortunately. And it's so crazy because like the changes on paper, like I was one of the guys saying like, oh yeah, these changes are ridiculous. Like he's gonna feel so good, and the situations that he got buffed in felt better, but it wasn't like he was like really overpowered or really just destroying everyone. Whereas the Chernobog change, you could really feel it when you played him, but the Apollo change, it was just like you would still dunk in and die. Like the character's flaw was still there of him just like, okay, I'm gonna have a big ult here, and then you get the big ult and you just instantly die. And that's, I think, in the past seasons, you could play Apollo that way and have these big dunks and make space, but now everyone's so experienced against that style of play, where also I think a lot of Apollo players, including myself, weren't really good at Apollo, like timing the ult, because after the change, you really want to rush it, and the best way to play Apollo is you just wait and wait and wait and wait until people like semi forget about you in the air, and then you come down.
Right.
But yeah, it's still like his core issue in my opinion.
To give you your flowers, whenever I think about Apollo ult, I do think about you Renegades, like season 6 or 7, whatever it was, that set where Apollo just like was insane. So yeah, no, I think that style of play and that style of Apollo is so cool, and I think that's why people wanted it to be good as well, because I think that is a fun style of Smite that people like watching and people like engaging with. But a point that you made, which is really hard to account for, is that everyone's so much better now. Like, you take any pro team from this year against any world championship team from like season 3 to 1, demolished, just absolutely cooked, right? And I think that there's those things that change, and one of the things that the balance team has to contend with is, okay, everyone has gotten better from those points. Can you even try to go back to that style of play, pushing that style on a god, or is there a way that you can recreate a similar style by getting creative with balance? And this is when you said earlier, Aggro, that preference, you don't want preference to be affecting balance. I think that's true for the majority of balance patches, but I think that what players have kind of shown is that the place where at least I take the biggest backseat as far as, hey, this is how you actually get a character into a balance on the 3Ps standpoint, is those kind of, new season, new year patches where finding those kind of preference points to go, okay, this is actually what I think is cool and what I think is fun game design. Let's just go for it and see what happens. And I think that I'm going to ask you this, Vera, as someone who's, obviously played at a pro level for a long time. I'm sure that there is a level of excitement that comes from a character that was either really good or really bad, getting its switch completely flipped and having to relook at the entire landscape of the roster in a different way.
Oh yeah, no, I completely agree. And I also feel like in terms of preference, I think I was the only pro ADC that really enjoyed the CERN Ishtar meta. That was like one of my most fun ADC metas ever. Like, because I feel like they're both good in team fights, and you could both solo each other at kind of any given point. And I remember talking about that on like a round table of ADCs, and I said that was like the best pro meta, and everyone else in the round table was like, "You're an idiot," basically. Like, why would you think that? And I was like, the ADCs are good at like every point. Like, I'll take that over like the CERN or not CERN, but like the Rama Cupid meta anytime. Like that meta is awful. You both just ult at the same time, and that's it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have a preference towards the hard swaps if it's between phases of characters. If it's right before a LAN, I get a little annoyed or a little frustrated because I'm like,
that's true.
The way we practiced for so long is now irrelevant, and I think it might have happened this year.
It definitely did. It definitely did. Multiple times, I think.
I think with like the Titans being unleashed, I think that was for Summerland.
Yeah, the stuff like that is that I'll just say right now, that makes the god and item balance team, that makes the job difficult at times.
Yeah.
Stuff like that being introduced.
Certainly. Yeah.
So yeah, it's fine for between phases, but I think the similar thing happened like is way callback, like season 1 with like Alquang.
Yep.
That character got released. I was pretty close to Worlds, but every team coming in was just like, okay, what do we do with this character? Which I think from the outside looking in, it's super fun. Like you're like, oh my gosh, how's Alquang gonna do? And for the fans watching, it's like, oh my gosh, Titans are gonna be unleashed during SPL games. Like, how is this gonna change everything? And as a pro player, you're like, I don't want to deal with this. Like, we've been playing Smite a certain way for the last like few weeks or maybe like a month, and it's like now we gotta deal with this variable. Like, it's just like more macro, more headaches almost. But some teams are gonna be like, oh my gosh. It depends if it's like a macro change or a god change, in my opinion, like something on the map and obviously some teams are gonna be more accustomed to a certain god. We'll throw out Uller. Some people love Uller and will flex it and they'll be very happy. And other teams will be like, oh, I don't want to play this pick. And me. I don't want to play that pick.
Bro, holy. Actually, if it was with you and Van, if it was Uller meta, you guys were kind of cooked, right? Neither of you were really Uller players.
Vin started playing it, and then I tried to play that character so much, like smurfing on casuals and smurfing in ranked and everything. I was just like, it just does not fit my style for some reason. Like, I tried so hard, and I would always try to solo people at the wrong time or kind of get this, like, Uller syndrome almost in my head of just, like, you want to jump in, you want to axe because you know that
going for 360s, I get it. Yeah.
You've had it happen to you so many times, and you're like, it's so easy, just hit the axe, and then you'll win the fight. And then you hit the axe, and you're like, oh, I'm dead. Like, and
were
then
you
you're
an
like,
Uller player before the axe throw change?
Yes.
I thought you were.
I've got
okay, this is me showing my lack of knowledge.
It was projectile speed.
It was made faster or slower?
It was made slow. It was made faster. No, it was made faster, wasn't it?
Basically how it was before is you would be able to click it and then aim afterwards. So if I click this way, I can then
you can trace.
Yeah.
And that kind of always turned into like a 50-50 because you would kind of react to the sound and then juke off of it. And then now, right when you click is when the ability comes out, obviously. And it's just so deep in my head. Like, I don't know if you guys heard me, but like, I literally have like 2.5k worst bros on Uller, and I've played him like 4 or 5 times on my main since that change. Like, I played him so much.
You have 197 ranked games with Uller.
Yeah.
Wow, he's checking you. He's got you checked up.
No, I have a fun game to play. I have a fun game to play eventually. I was waiting to pick my moment, and
I do.
Dropping the exact amount of Uller games you have in ranked.
That's really funny.
Was the right moment for it.
That sounds really fun. I have one question that I did want to get to. and I knew we were gonna go long.
Yeah, I
on
don't,
this-
I
on this
don't, I don't
episode.
want, I don't want to derail you right now. You were talking about earlier, and I was
No,
interested to
shut him
hear
up.
it.
He's an ADC. Like he doesn't. It's fine.
It's fine, guys. I'm not even here.
I wanted to get your thoughts on, and again, it's something totally springing on you that maybe I should have asked beforehand, but
all
if we
good.
don't want to talk about it, we don't have to. I just want to get your thoughts on. There are a lot of games in League of Legends is obviously a game that we get compared to a lot. Another MOBA. Their API is fully available. Their win rates across ranks, across regions, all that kind of stuff is all publicly available information. And I think that drastically having, we've got some amount of our API available, Smite Guru and Smite Master, I think, is the other one that is good. And those sites are close, but not exact. How do you think having the partially available like win rate data to players versus fully accurate win rate numbers, how do you think that affects like player perception?
So to clarify, what we have is those sites work on a similar way that I spoke previously to like how I made my videos.
Mm-hmm.
They pull from an API that stores a recent subsection of data, and then they store a backlog themselves. However, the public API, I'm not sure. It does give information on every match play. That's why you can see your entire match history on Smite Guru, right?
Mm-hmm.
However, let's say the way that has been rolled out and maintained over the years has put it in a place where it can't be fully leveraged to create such in-depth information such as what like League and Dota have. I don't actually know if Dota has it. I just know League does.
Mm-hmm.
So it is accurate. The information that Smite Guru has and that Smite Masters has, those are accurate sources. However, I think that the big difference is that because it is these snapshots and they're kind of like saving it to their back end, and nothing has really been built out that goes like, hey, here's the most up-to-date, like detailed level of statistical analysis on each character that exists for those other games.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that it's both good and bad, right? Like Smite, let's be real and let's be self-aware with what Smite is. Smite is a snappy, highly competitive, like highly fun MOBA. But it is one of its like big selling points is that it is a little bit easier and a little bit more casual than Dota and League, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think that the appetite, at least, and I don't know if it's on the games end, if it's on kind of developer end, or if it's on, the end of third-party developers, but there isn't a big draw in the Smite player base to look for outside information, because if there was, then Smite Masters would be referenced much more frequently because the data there is pretty good. And there's a lot of times
referenced like never on Reddit, and it really
Exactly.
surprises me, to be honest.
Yeah, and I've had conversations where I've asked someone like, who do you think the best god in the game is right now? Like numbers wise, who do you think the best god in the game is? And I'll sit in their Twitch chat and they'll give me 20 god names and none of them will crack like the top 10.
Nope.
And then I'll tell them, oh yeah, it's Thanatos.
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, really? And then I'm like, go check. I like send them this my Masters link, and they're like, are you serious? And like at every level of ranked play, it's like 58% win rate. And they're like, I had no idea. And I was like, well, the information's out there, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's a two-edged sword. Yeah, we don't have the same like level of depth, and maybe if that depth existed, then it would have kind of become ingrained into like the Smite player base mindset of how to look at the game. But I think that we are a more approachable game for a reason, and the general mindset of players is that I don't necessarily want to get too deep into the weeds. I just want to go on vibes and have a good time and their person shoot some stuff at people, and that's how most people start playing this game.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that where there is opportunities to do stuff is I always think that because of that, and again, maybe another thing too is console, right? Console players, they're already on a different platform, so they're not going to
different game.
It's a different game and a different, so we have all these different things happening, which is why the more stuff that can be, I've seen more people reference their own like character win rate page on their god page, not that frequently, but it exists, then I've seen like Smite Masters linked.
Yeah, me too.
And
Mm-hmm.
I think that the more one of the things that, I like looking at as best as possible is just like what can we do game side to try to bring more information to the player. But that's, stuff for the future. So yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it. I'm happy that our player base is not so numbers obsessed. I think that's a big. I pay very close attention to what League of Legends community is talking about and all that kind of stuff, and I just like can't help but laugh whenever, you'll see a post in their subreddit about, I'm a, diamond. I'm an NA diamond Fizz one trick, and this character is dead because he has a 47% win rate in Korea Challenger, and I'm like, that's not your games. Like it, your games are not the same. That is basically console to console to PC. Like region changes are so different. Like in League in particular, but like, if we I can have some sympathy for their balance team that there are oftentimes changes. A character needs to be changed, and we know that, okay? But we know what the right change is for the health of the character in the long term, and then we know what players are asking for that change. And when they're aligned, we are super stoked because it makes our job very easy. When they aren't aligned, that's really tough, and I can imagine that separation is very intense in that room, because those players often will use data from Korean solo queue to inform their gold European ranked games, and it like baffles me to laugh at it makes me like chuckle the lack of like self-awareness there is, and like citing that data
Right.
for them.
Well, you have to think that they all know that one day they can become Korean challenger level players as well. Like,
right, if they just had one ping like the Korean
they
server does,
just
that's
had-
the only thing that's different.
That's the thing that's holding them back. Exactly. I
Right.
think that
There's
it's
so many fakers in the world.
Yeah,
They're just
so many.
waiting.
Dude, their run has been crazy. I don't know if you guys have been watching League Worlds. Faker, dude, he's gonna win this.
Has he been doing well?
Yeah, they're in the finals.
Okay, yeah.
They're in the finals.
That's exciting. I know that there was a lot of sad Faker fans when he lost last year or the year before.
Last year. Okay, Max, you had a game. You had a quick little game for us. Yes.
I have a game. I'm gonna lead in quickly. It's basically the most joy I get out of my job is having really good Smite players be wrong about things.
It's true.
And I'd say you're both pretty good Smite players. Just generalized question, just to start kind of off the top, kind of light. Who do you think the most? And the crazy thing about the question I'm about to ask you is that it is close. The difference is in the under 10,000. Who, by match game count, is the most played ranked god of all time?
Ooh.
The god that has been in the most ranked matches since ranked's inception.
Boy,
the second place god is within 10,000.
That is a
within
really
10,000.
good question. I have my guess.
Wait.
I want Barry to guess first, I think.
Wait, can I look up Smite gods, or is that cheating?
No, you can look at the Smite god
just
You
list.
can, if you want to look at the
Okay.
god list, that's
Yeah.
fine.
Yeah.
Now you're gonna go look at Smite Masters.
Yeah,
Look at
he's
the
like,
numbers.
Smite
Yeah, that's
God.
exactly where I'm going.
Smite guru. Dude, just while Barry's looking at for the god list and deciding on his pick, we were looking at our Smite Guru pages earlier this week, or maybe it was late last week. I cannot believe, I'm still floored. I cannot believe I have a negative win rate on Giannis. I used to be a Giannis one trick.
What?
I'm
Win rate?
really good at that god. How do I have a negative win rate on that god? He must be terrible. Giannis buffs incoming.
The one thing that I will tell you is that Smite Guru has their time horizon is it's cut off at like season 3 or something like that.
Oh, well, that's what I was
the
doing.
data
The
I'm
majority
pull-
of my work was season 2, and I'm not even kidding.
The data that I pulled from is complete like historical data, so I actually know what your Janus win rate is.
Is it positive?
Historically?
Can you tell me? Is it positive?
Is
Is it later? Okay. Is it later in the game?
We're skipping ahead to the
sorry.
second
Oh, I
section
cannot
here.
wait
Oh
for
my-
that. I cannot wait for that game. That part of the game. Okay,
I'm
my
s-
guess, Thor.
I was gonna go Neath.
See, okay, Neith is the answer to the most games ever because she's the free god.
Right, she's the free god.
She's the free.
Yeah.
She's the she is not. She is the 10th most played, and Thor is the 4th most played. So you
Fourth?
both got top 10. You got
Okay,
top
that's good.
10,
I would have
which
been
is
embarrassed if
which
I
is good. It would have been honestly. It's not an embarrassing answer from either of you. Both of them are within. There are 16 gods with over 2 million ranked games.
Wow.
And
okay, can I have one more? I've got one more guess.
yeah, you both get one more.
Okay.
Barry, you go first for the second one. Oh wait, no, you went first. I'm gonna go first this time. I'm going Poseidon.
Okay.
I'll go Raw.
Okay, you're sticking with the free gods. The raw guess is a little bit more embarrassing, unfortunately.
I knew
for
it was
you.
gonna be embarrassing. I'm not kidding.
Yeah,
Raw
it
20
was-
second, 20
My
second. It's like
God.
not end of the world. Poseidon's 5th, so you're staying in the top 5.
Okay, who is it?
Aggro. None of you have gotten top 3 though yet. I'll give you one last one.
One more.
Yeah. Third lives.
Okay.
3 strikes. We got a baseball theme. 3
Right.
strikes are out.
Okay, yeah. Okay, so it's got to be a season. I feel like it's got to be. It would be. This would be really interesting if it isn't like if this is a season 2 release. Like that would be insane, right?
Yeah, I'm trying to guess like the oldest characters.
And it's got to be a
That's what I'm
free
doing.
god. I feel like. Chat has some guesses. I don't know if I like either of those.
Yeah, I was gonna say Ymir or Raw. That was my second guess.
No, it could
But I'm
be.
trying to think of-
Wait, this is ranked conquest, right? Or is it all ranked modes?
Conquest.
Okay.
It's ranked conquest, not all ranked modes.
I thought I was
it
about
does-
to break the system here,
What-
but I'm not.
What do noobs love?
Okay, this is not.
Noobs
No,
love,
that can't be right. Okay, wait. We just gotta keep it moving here. It's Kukulkan.
Kalkin. Okay, interesting.
I think I'm just gonna go with Ymir.
So
I just
so
have to guess
how quickly the tides turn in Bear's favor. Ymir is the 3rd most played ranked god of all time.
Really?
Top 3, not top 2. Kukulkan, on the other hand, 40th. You've really undercut any.
Bro. Well, he was Alquang. He was Alquang. That surely.
No,
that-
no, yeah, okay, no, you know what? Yeah, that's crazy.
If you
is the
add
name
in
change.
Alquang's games, surely he's number 1.
If you add in Alquang, he wouldn't even be number 1.
Okay.
If you combine those two,
Oh,
he'd
no.
be
Who is it?
he'd be like 8th. Number 2 is Athena. With
Wow, really?
I was
Yeah.
thinking about that, but I haven't seen her in like years.
recency
I feel like.
bias,
That's, like,
man.
Exactly.
You go,
yeah.
and number 1, and you guys really should have guessed this. I'm gonna tell you, this character has been the most picked god in like so many seasons. It is Janus,
It is
the number 1
Bro,
Yeah,
that
and
is
crazy.
crazy.
It is hysterical
What?
because your face is the correct reaction because he's rocking a lifetime ranked win rate of 44.9%.
Yep. I remember that. Something that like it was much more fun whenever balance meetings were in person. Someone would come to a balance meeting for the first time and we would keep the screen off. Well, that where normally we would like project all the stats. We'd keep the screen off and go, all right, like who's a god you think we should nerf? And almost everyone would say Giannis. Almost every single person.
Yeah.
And then, or it'd be like Arthur, a little bit later on, any of those gods. And they'd go, what gods need buff? And they'd be like, oh, Hades is terrible. Arachne, complete trash. Be like, okay, cool. Turn on the screen. Hades,
Yeah.
Arachne, 1-2. Giannis, King Arthur, 120, like 119, 120, and their minds would always get blown.
That Giannis is, for reference, because I do have it in order, the second the second worst ranked god of all time, and King Arthur's the worst.
Number 1. Yep. I'll bet you Thoth is bottom 5. And
Bottom 10. Bottom 10.
bottom 10. Okay. I'll bet you Kamazoth is really low. Like all of these pro abuse characters, like they're always terrible.
Cam was a little better, but
the general player base.
you were cooking at the start there.
Yeah, thank you.
Stop
Yeah,
with your
I
hand,
should have
man.
stopped. Yeah, thank you. Yeah.
I will say Maman is off to a potentially historic start with her ranked win rate, but
Let's
low
go.
games played.
Let's go. We love it.
Historically bad. Bottom.
No,
six.
yeah, no.
Anyways.
I'm aware.
Yeah. I'll do it really quickly. You guys get one guess for this each. Just top win rate. Best historically. Like it doesn't mean best now. Just like which one has won the most ranked games? Which god?
Has won the most ranked games?
No, not by count. By win rate. By count.
Oh yeah, the
gonna
best
be one of-
percentage.
Yeah.
In ranked. Okay, so that means smaller sample size might actually be good. Barry, you want to go first?
Nike.
Great guess.
Okay.
Absolutely phenomenal guess. That was gonna. It was between her and Hades for me, so I'll go Hades.
I should ask you guys this first. You guys both look like geniuses right now. Nike won, Hades 2. Genuinely.
Let's
Genuinely.
go. Welcome to the
Let's
Backliners
go.
podcast.
You
baby.
guys cooked.
That's
the
why we've
Backliners
got
podcast.
it. Let's go. Well
Wow.
done, team. Well done.
That's crazy. Yeah, no. Nike is the perennial god that's good, but no one thinks is good.
Yes, she is literally like never been the bottom outside of, I don't think that she's ever been outside of the top third of the cast in win rate as far as I can remember.
She's nuts, and there's some it's a whole other podcast, but Nike's an interesting character with interesting stories behind her.
Yes.
I'll move on. Aggro, I've pulled all of your numbers as well.
This is so
and I want Bera to guess your best and worst god.
That's so good. Okay. Yeah.
Limited to at least 20 games played, let's say.
Sure.
So, yeah.
Best and worst of all time?
Ranked of all time.
Okay. Let's see.
Max, if you could start pulling like scrim numbers, like private match data, that would be so good for this content. That would be incredible.
So I could, from if it's on live, I could pull custom matches. I would, if you wanted to bring me back on for some scrim stats, I could definitely break it down.
Bro, that would be incredible. We need to have we should do a whole esports series with you. Like, I'm gonna get Hindu Man's gonna be calling you up pretty soon. We're gonna fly you in just to do these videos. That'd be so. Imagine if you could see what Zapman's career scrim KDA was. Like, people would pay insane money for that.
Is it all PTS? Are scrims mostly on PTS, or are they on
mostly
live?
on live. They're mostly on live.
Mostly on live.
I can pull from live.
Yeah,
I can pull from both actually, but it's hard to pull them together.
That would be incredible content. That'd be incredible. Oh my god. Bro, Harry's scrim KDA, oh man.
Get his Agni KDA only. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go Poseidon for best god. I'm just shooting shot in the dark, kind of like Xbox character.
Mm-hmm.
Worst god, I think I would have to pick like a warrior. Let me go look at the warriors.
Big mistake. I'm a 6 solo laner.
I feel
Never
like
say that's a lie.
Thanks for listening, everyone.
I would say Hercules would be your worst.
Okay, that's you picked one of my only good warriors. Surely no, actually, I ran down a lot of games on Hercules.
I think Hercules. I think Hercules is doing okay, but I don't think you actually meet the sample size on main with Herc. That being said, what I'll say is Poseidon was a good pick for best. 88. Well, no, it's a 63% win rate on Poseidon.
That's pretty good.
Out of first sample size characters, like top 5. So yeah, that's a good pick. The best answer was Nemesis and then Zeus.
Wait, my Nemesis win rate's actually better? That's crazy.
It's low sample size, but it just crossed over.
Okay.
But then it's Zeus.
My Zeus stats are crazy, no?
Yeah, they're pretty nuts. You're hovering around 75% lifetime.
Wow.
With like a lot of games. You don't have to give the exact number, but like not a small sample size.
Yeah, on because it's separate console and then console plus PC. They're from different queues, but we're talking like over 100 type of thing. Like a good, nice chunky sample size of Zeus games played and 75. No, you're cooking. Barry,
if it was a Zeus meta back in the day, the team was in a good spot,
All right, now Aggro, guess for Barra.
Guess for me. Wait, who was my worst?
Sorry, Barra. I cut you off. Oh, sorry, did not say. Wait, Barra, what were you saying?
Yeah, I was wondering what his worst was. And you
The
said Nemesis
worst-
was
the-
his second?
Yeah, my
Like, second
Nemesis
best?
was
Okay.
very
Was-
good. I'm a beast nem for sure.
Your worst is on her.
Yeah, that does not
But-
surprise
that
me.
meets that meets the sample size.
Yeah.
And then
Okay.
Uller. you were
Okay, that's
on those two.
criminal. Listen, Onher's
Yeah.
just that character that like if I feel like if I'm not, I can't get bored on Onher because like if I get bored on Hachiman, what am I gonna do? Like I can't
Right.
even int that effectively. On Onher, I can start getting bored, and by bored I mean like itching to take a bad fight in the 1st 2 levels of the game. Every other character I've got to wait.
Yeah, once you get your jump leveled, you know
Right.
you have to use it.
I
Yeah.
have to
Yeah.
use it. Yeah, exactly. That is big time. Okay, I get to guess for Barry now.
You get to guess for Barry. Honestly, Barry's numbers are a lot easier for me to read just because
Less
he's
console.
stuck to one system. Thank you,
Right.
Barry.
Right.
You're welcome. I did it for you.
Thank you, appreciate that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Best god for Barry in ranked. Now, my
Again,
first
over
thought is
20 games because you've got a
Right, over
few
20.
like 1 game hundreds, all that stuff. Yeah.
right. I think like something like Jingwei obviously comes to mind. But I don't think it is going to be Jingwei. I think it was really grief by Barry to not pick like my signature god, so I do think I need to still pick a signature god for Barry. And I'm going to go with the god whose combo he created, and that's Soul. I'm going to go Soul is his best.
Soul's a good pick. Soul is 4th or 5th, depending if you count the top
Okay.
ones. So yeah,
Is
top 5.
Can I ask this? Is that hit like one of his top hunters, or like ADC? Well, you know, she's obviously a magical. ADC,
Yeah.
but, like,
So out of your top 5 gods, 4 are hunters, and 1 is a guardian, and it's actually your top god that meets the sample size.
Oh, so
Like,
it's either so there's only 2 options here. Okay, it's either, and I'm gonna look really dumb because I feel really confident. It is absolutely either Ganesh or Xingchen.
Oh my god, you are wrong.
What? How? Those are the only 2
it's-
guardians I've ever seen Barry play in his life.
Ganesh and Jingchen, I don't even know where these are, dude. I'm sorry. Has he even played a single ranked match with Ganesh?
What do you
Oh
mean?
no, he has, yeah. 65, 46% win rate.
Okay, that doesn't sound that
Shang,
wrong, to be honest. I just figured it would have to be because of
37.
sample size.
No, the top guardian for you over 20 games is Geb. 26 games
Geb.
played, 17 wins.
You're such an Eonic
65.
fanboy. Going
Yep.
Gev all the time.
That god's OP.
That guy. Bro, I just think of you playing Xingchen doing absolutely nothing in a team fight but living and going, this god is OP.
What do you mean?
You
I
like
did
won
so
their
much.
guardian. Like,
I
that's
was getting an E-staff proc.
true. Okay, so his top god, if it's a hunter, I am going to go Apollo.
Yeah, no, again, wrong, but most games played. That's fun. Honestly, here's the thing. To give you props, it looks like you have, I don't know, like 10 hunters that are all above 60% win rate in ranked. So they're all really tightly grouped as far as
Sure.
like the actual performance goes. Apollo is out of the ADCs, yeah, about 10th.
Interesting. All right, who's
I'll
his
give
top
you,
one?
I'll give you,
Oh, no,
I'll
go
give
ahead,
you
if you're gonna give me-
3 and 2. I'll give you 3 and 2. It's Soul at 4, 3 is AMC, 2 is Scotty, and number
Oh,
1
that was gonna
is
be
a
my
god
next
that got a
guess.
lot of play. I think last season. I think it was
Ooh.
season 9 that this character got a lot of shine.
Ooh, that's a good hint. This god list I'm looking at is sorted by Pantheon. That's not good for me. God who got a lot of play last year. I'm going to go. Oh, is it Cernos?
Not CERN.
Is it
It's
Ishtar?
Chiron.
Chiron.
you're-
Oh,
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah, 65.3, narrowly squeaking out Scotty at 64.7.
I don't think he was
lowest-
a Chiron player, Barry.
Oh, I'm
You,
a good
I-
Chiron player.
you play, yeah, you played. I remember watching you play Chiron. I think you were one of the only ones playing Chiron in the SPL at a certain point. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Lowest hunter is the same as lowest character that meets requirements, except for Nuwa with a 30%. You've inted
Wow.
on Nuwa more than any other character, but
30%.
the lowest
That's
hunter
impressive.
is right at Ganesh.
Right at Ganesh. Well,
Yeah.
Uller is the first guess.
It's not Uller.
It's not Uller. Wow, someone
I don't
worse.
think he meets the sample size.
Yeah, I
for the
guess
last
not.
8 years.
Worse than Uller is a hunter. I'm going to go Cupid.
Cupid was cooking, man.
I know,
62.7.
I don't know.
Um,
Freya, you're
Barry,
gonna
you got an
cook it
idea?
on-
I would go Heim.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's a
he
good
knows
one.
himself. Heim is your only hunter sub 50%.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember playing Heim in ranked, and I was like, it doesn't matter how good I do, I cannot win a game on this character. Like
Yeah.
every single game, I'm like, why can I not win?
Just
on
like
this
me
character?
and Giannis. Yeah, just like
Yeah,
me and
that's
Yeah.
exact same. Exact same. You guys are so similar.
Yeah, we're basically the same person. Can you check for me, Max? I have a feeling about my Hades win rate. What's
Yeah,
was I cooking it up on the Hades?
on Hades. Let's take a look. Yeah. Yeah, you were cooking. Just above 60%.
Yeah, I feel like I can't lose on that god, to be honest. Like even more,
Yeah,
I
and
honestly feel like Zeus and Hades are my two
It's-
freest wins.
Yeah, it was just above Poseidon, so
Yeah.
right.
Right.
Yeah, that checks out. For sample size, definitely kind of one of your most up there characters.
What's my Atlas win loss?
Your Atlas win.
I went through a phase where I absolutely loved this character.
Yeah, no, you have it's just below sample size, but you have a 70% win rate on Atlas.
Holy cow, Barry! No
Yeah.
wonder you were loving him. You were killing it.
Yeah.
I felt like I could do so much in a team fight with that character, and then whenever I play Heim, I'd be like, I can't do anything. I can't win.
Yeah.
I'm just hitting
Yeah.
people in front of me, and then I just lose the game.
Do you think,
Yeah.
Barry, if you would have just convinced your team to let you play Atlas ADC, you'd still have a job in the Smite Pro League?
I would have cooked. I would have gone crazy if they would have allowed me to play anything outside of the Hunter tab. I would have cooked.
It's true.
Only Atlas.
This guy would have been insane.
Yep. There are few players who I would trust less outside of the Hunter tab than you, to be fair.
Exactly.
They would have never seen it coming. You would have gotten it locked in, and it would have been like the first time Funball played Zhong Kui. It would have been like, what is going on? But then
Yep.
actually he went off, which is what you would have done.
Exactly.
Of course, on
No one ever knows.
All right, any more fun?
So,
fun ones?
I have a finale. I have
Yeah.
a finale
Perfect.
to it, which I'm very excited to ask you guys about.
Yeah.
You have both of you queued into each other on live 8 times.
Mm.
You have queued against each other like in a live queued match
That's
8
crazy.
times.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's long. Well, on our mains.
On your mains, yeah.
I've hit a lot of your games
all
on
these
my Spurs,
all these
Barry.
numbers. I should have prefaced all
What?
this. This is all on mains.
Okay.
I know that Aggro has a prolific Smurf account.
It's true.
Those are void from this. On your mains, you've queued into each other 8 times.
Mm-hmm.
2 arenas, 2 assaults, and 4 ranked conquest games.
Wow.
I want either all modes or just ranked conquest. Your preference. I want you guys to each individually tell me what you think your record is against the other person.
I would go ranked conquest, and I'm gonna go 3-1 him, just because it would make the story funnier. And I feel like if you're going this way, I feel like it's because aggro beat me.
Interesting.
Right.
I'll go with that story.
You're getting a different read on this than I am. I'm gonna go 08 for me. is my guess. I'm gonna go 08. Is my guess. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll meet somewhere in the middle. In ranked conquest, you guys have split 2 games each. You're 2-2. Aggro, however, owns Barry in arena. Apparently, he's 2-0 against you in arena.
Wow.
On mains.
Let's go.
Okay.
But what about his
I
main
will-
mode here? Assault.
In Assault, you guys have split games. You're 1-1.
Wow,
Go
you
for it.
did. You suck, Barry. No wonder.
It's a total. It's a
Exactly.
total of 5-3.
I knew it. I was
Wow.
like, if he's bringing this up, it's because Aggro's winning against me.
That's
I
huge
knew
for
it.
me, Max. I've really needed a confidence boost. I had a kid. I feel like I'm washed. I feel like I'm playing the worst
Now-
side I have in years.
Uh-huh.
This is giving
Now
me
these games were in
confidence.
like 2015.
Right.
Some of them.
No,
so.
but that lets me know that there is something to build on. There's a base there. For me to
I
have.
will say in the arena games, Barry, you played Gavin Ganesh in those arena games.
Yeah. And what was his combined
Yeah,
KDA? Can you give us that?
I'm not on a carry, and this guy's sniping me.
I do
Like,
not have the KDA from
Fair
those.
enough.
I've got them from the ranked games though.
Oh, really?
I do. I have the kills and all the fun stuff from the ranked games.
Yeah, I'm surprised. I did see at one point, Barry, that they're like, I think I was like looking for a particular YouTube video, and I found a YouTube video of you and I like laning together in like season 5 ranked or something like that on your YouTube
Did we
channel.
cook?
Dude, I was going off. Like,
Really?
yeah, you were literally just a spectator, and it was great. It was good content too. It was a very funny. We were having a good time.
Were we
I
in
should find the
comms?
video. Yeah.
I gotta say, unfortunately for the content in all the ranked games, you guys both played like brutally averagely. Nothing
Wow.
interesting in there. You guys were like 6-5,
Making
4-3.
Yeah. Listen, that's because we were
6-2.
neutralizing each other.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
That's
Yeah,
all there is to it.
8-8, 8-11.
median?
Like that's the most
Ooh,
like
almost triple-double.
standardized
No, that's surely me.
stat line.
Yeah, that's close.
That is aggro. Yeah, the triple double stat line.
I'm a triple double king. Max, we need you to find who has the most triple doubles in ranked conquest. That being 10 kills, 10 deaths, 10 assists. Not at a later date. But
Yeah.
like I would love to crown Smite's Russell Westbrook. You know what I mean?
Zapper
Like,
saw it for sure.
you think so? I think it's Sam.
Yeah.
I think it's Sam.
Maybe.
Sam is a triple double king.
It needs to be percentage, not number.
Yeah,
interesting.
Because
triple
That's a
double
good
number-
move.
percentage. Yeah, it just goes to the grinders,
Right.
the grinders
Yeah,
of the world.
Saw and Zap are like they'd be so far above everyone.
Yeah, no,
But I feel
Sod,
like-
Sod has definitely got to be up there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
I
if
was
it's
looking at-
percentage, yeah.
Looking at all of these, I was looking at like rank game played, and I was like, oh yeah, Saw has like 2,000 on this list, whatever. And then I realized I thought that was lifetime ranked games played. That's season 10. That's year 10. I
That
was
is
like,
insane.
I was
Oh.
like, whoa,
That is
whoa, that is.
insane.
Oh.
That I
No
can't
way.
even wrap my mind around that.
It's an impressive level of slamming cues for
yes,
sure.
it really is. Okay, let's quickly go to our random questions of the week that we get from our community Discord. Sorry, Max, this went long, and I knew it was going to, but I didn't tell you that it was going to because I didn't want you to get
Nah, it's all good. I have fun.
All right, we get these questions, of course, from our community Discord, which you can get into by going to patreon.com/backliners, and that's where we get to hang out and have fun. Okay, first question this week is from Hiru. What is an irrational fear that you have that is statistically unlikely to happen? What a great question from Hiru before they even knew that our statistician was going to be with us.
How about that?
An irrational fear that you have that is statistically unlikely to happen. I've got a lot. I will not give you all of them, but I have a lot. My first one, I have an irrational fear of getting tortured, like for information that I don't have. Because like, what do you say when you're like, they're like, where's the briefcase? And you're like, what briefcase? And then they just keep torturing you. What can you say to them in order to get them to stop? If you truly don't know where the briefcase is or what briefcase they're even talking about.
So this is just like a generalized fear of the American government, or?
Yes. Yeah, exactly. yeah. And he can make that joke because he's Canadian.
Yeah, I'm Canadian. It's on the hat.
Yeah, exactly. No, that's a great point. Yes, that is an irrational fear of mine for sure.
Mine would be, I've had this fear since growing up of just like being robbed. I don't know.
Max
how,
is like,
like,
yo,
statistic-
what is with the crime in America?
Yeah, I don't know how like statistically unlikely this is, like stat wise, or like I've never looked into the numbers. But I don't know why, but since I was a kid, my window growing up was like probably like 10 or 11 feet off the ground, and I always like when I was going to sleep at night, there would be a light across the street, and I could just like stare at that light. And I was so scared for some reason that someone was just gonna climb up, and I would see them like their shadow, like with the light coming through my window, and just they would just like rob us. And I've been so scared of that since I was probably like 4 or 5, maybe like 6 years old. I don't know why. I didn't like watch a movie or anything. I've just always been scared of that. And I don't know why.
There you go. No one rob Bera. He will not think it's funny.
I feel weird because my answer has nothing to do with, unnamed people assaulting me. So
Cringe, I guess. I don't know. What is it?
Cringe.
Running out of syrup?
What's this guy thinking?
yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's the polar bears that get me. No, my one that this used to get me a lot when I was a kid, and I guess it doesn't like still keep me up at night, but every once in a while I'm like, man, that sucked. Is swallowing your own tongue. I don't know if that's like a thing that lives in anyone else's mind, but I was told probably when I was like 5 that you can swallow your own tongue.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, so I'm not sleeping for the next week. Got it. Like, that's cool.
Yeah. Do you ever have something like, for me, it's always popcorn kernels that get like stuck into the roof of my mouth, and I'm like trying to get it with my tongue. And if I start getting too far back, I get scared that my tongue is going to like fold back and I'm going to swallow it, which is obviously not possible.
Yeah, no.
But I get scared of it.
I think like whenever things like that happen, there's always like these surrounding circumstances, like, oh, they were undergoing like intrusive tongue surgery or something like that.
Yeah,
I don't know, like
you can't just
something.
swallow your tongue.
The classic thing that happens.
Right. But that's not
the really common
part of. No way. That,
exactly.
That's just an important part.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
Well, Heroes is much like ours in that Hero must be American, because theirs is driving past a tanker filled with gasoline, thinking that a sniper assassin is out for me and shoots the thing, blowing everything up.
How is it not just it blowing up? How is it the sniper assassin part? Well, this is where I really question the whole like mentality thing.
Right.
Where is this other person coming from?
Right. Well, they're out to get them. Or driving behind a truck with hauling large logs because of Final Destination. I feel like
Final Destination. That's fair.
Everyone.
Final Destination. All of them. Well, most of them were filmed like in and around the city that I live in.
Oh, great! So your city's cursed.
We're cursed. Yeah. There's a really fun scene of. It's a documentary. Yeah. There's a scene where this bridge like breaks. Someone falls off the bridge like onto the top of a sailboat pole.
And then
really
a sniper.
Gnarly.
Anyways.
Yeah.
Okay, Neon Kerm asks, when you're sitting in between two people, which armrest belongs to you? Like the movie theater or the airplane? Great question, Neon.
Well, this, in my opinion, changes in a movie theater versus an airplane. Movie theaters, I think, really have no laws. Some people
it's
just
a lawless
act like,
land.
Yeah, some people act like the whole movie theater belongs to them regardless. They'll be on their phones, they'll be talking loudly. Like, I don't mind if you have like a little conversation, but just keep it quick, like 15 seconds.
Yeah.
Movie theaters, I think, don't have laws because kids just like get up and run around the whole time.
Mm-hmm.
Airplanes, I think, have a
What movie theaters do you go to, man? Oh my god.
Yeah.
Okay.
Listen,
growing up
once
in
you
Georgia,
get past the snipers with the gasoline tanks, and like everything, the robbers, like it's difficult to get there at all.
Okay. Yeah. Got it. Understandable.
Yeah.
For airplanes, if you're on the aisle seat, you get the one closest to the aisle. If you're in the middle, you get both. And then if you're on the seat with the window, you get the one next to the window.
Bingo. That's the only correct answer for airplanes.
Yeah.
Middle seat gets both. Their life sucks. You have to give it to them. You are mean. If you
How do you feel about the like little agreement that you come to though in the middle seat where like one of you gets like the front half and the other one gets the back half? Where like both elbows are there.
That's like, okay, but if I'm in the side seat, I am never once encroaching on that territory. Even if they're offering
that's true.
the half, that's theirs.
Yeah.
And I will not touch it. Movie theaters, I think it is first come, first serve. Because movie theaters, you get there as early as you want. It's not like an airplane where you are being boarded via classes, because the class system is, anyways. So you don't have a choice with airplanes. You do have a choice with movie theaters. Movie theaters are first come, first serve. Here's the thing about me. If you're ever next to me in a movie theater, airplane, whatever it may be, and I'm on an armrest and you bump my arm off of it, I'm never going to try and get it back from you. I've seen people like get into like the armchair wars. I will think you're you're not a nice person. What a great save for me. But,
Nice, yeah. I have no idea what you're gonna say.
No clue. Yeah, I'm not fighting over it. I can't be asked. That's just a level of confrontation that is not important to me.
Yeah.
But
yeah,
I think
this is gonna be me just like railing on this whole Canadian point.
Mm-hmm.
I have never once had anyone bump my arm off
Seriously?
a movie theater armrest. No.
Yeah, that has happened a lot.
Literally, truly never.
Yeah.
And I was gonna say that my answer would be, and this could be so wrong, and I think that your answer is probably right. First come, first serve, and you can kind of like establish yourself. But mentally, it's the person on the aisle gets the aisle one in a similar way. And then you kind of work your way into the middle, where if you're coming from the left aisle, you get the left one up until the middle. Working from the right, you get the right one. And then the middle person kind of gets both or neither, depending on when they show up.
Interesting. I can get behind that.
That sounds awful.
No,
yeah, I don't know.
But you get stuck in traffic. You got a movie ticket. You have to walk through 10 people to sit in the middle to figure out you have no armrest. You just sit there like this, like, with your popcorn in your hands. Like,
no,
you don't get either drink holder.
I'm gonna be honest,
you're almost always at a movie with other people.
Yeah, well, I don't think I don't think I even use the armrest in the movie theater. To be honest with you, I do the majority of my movie watching. I'm crossed up. You know what I mean? Like,
you're crossed up. You're doing this.
This is the most comfortable
mean mugging the theater.
Yeah, he's just hugging himself.
You know, like
you're thinking about it.
Yeah, exactly. That's
you're
all,
like,
that's a big deal for me.
You look over Aggro in the movie theater. He's hitting a pose like the whole time.
You're like, oh. Neon Kerm also asks, what's an irrational thing you do without fully realizing it? For example, they turn down the radio when they're looking for an address while driving down the street. That's just good technique, to be clear. As someone who used to deliver pizzas, it's what you do. It just removes the distraction. It's actually good.
Yep.
An irrational thing that I do without fully realizing it.
Yeah, without fully realizing
it's hard because I don't realize it.
Because I haven't realized it
right.
yet. Yeah.
I don't know. Go ahead,
I
Barry.
have a
You got
really
something?
stupid thing where I turn on my blinker when I'm driving, literally for every single turn.
Oh, so you're a good driver.
Yeah, but like even like in a
I
parking
do this weird
lot,
thing where I eat lunch.
Where I follow the law. Crazy
some
thing I
people
do.
will just do like little turns in like parking lots where they just won't turn on their blinker.
No,
and I feel
it's
like the
psychotic.
majority of people. And I turn on my blinker for like if I'm turning my wheel either way, regardless of what turn I'm doing, I turn on my blinker.
Yeah.
And I'll turn on my blinker like 4 times in a row. Like I'm turning here, turning here.
I do like the image though of you like rounding a bend in the road, like no turn, and you're like, we're going left, we're going left.
I'm just trying to lead them there.
On.
Yeah. No, my wife makes fun of me because I use my turn signal to turn into like our cul-de-sac when there's no one around. Like,
yeah, Destiny does the same thing, and I'm like,
it's just good.
Yeah,
it's just a good habit.
Just turn on my blinker.
You guys are such great drivers.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I think the best thing I can think of, I'm sure I've talked about this on the podcast before, but volume on a radio or on a TV can only be on specific numbers. It can only be on evens, zeros, and fives. Never once has my TV volume sat at Michael
17.
Jordan's greatest 23, or 17. Never. I will turn it to 18 or 16. And if it's too quiet on 16 and too loud on 18, I will simply choose to live with one of those. I will not make it 17.
This feels like it comes from the same like places. I saw someone say that finding out that 51 was a multiple of 3 and 17 made them feel physically ill.
Wait,
Like 51 is 3 times 17.
Yeah, I don't
Yeah,
like
51. It does feel
I think it just comes from
a
a similar place, like a similar place in your mind.
that. Yeah. I mean, it makes sense. Like, I'm getting how it's there, you know?
My rational thing is that I tell people math facts when they don't want to know it.
And I just realized it.
Holy crap. Holy crap. That was such an incredible setup. That was unbelievable. Wow. That actually shattered my brain into 2 different pieces. That's just incredible work. Like, I feel like we don't have to ever have a podcast episode again because we've peaked.
Right?
Yeah.
This is the snapshot of the balanced game that we're taking right now. You know?
Yeah,
And
this
we're
is
never
it.
making a further change.
Reason and Amber.
Holy crap. That was literally awesome. Dreamy Martini with the final question of the week. Do you have any good Thanksgiving plans this year? What's your favorite food at Thanksgiving? It's a 2-parter question. What's the deal with Canadian Thanksgiving, Max? Like, it's a thing, right?
I knew it was coming.
Right, I don't know. I'm just trying to learn about a different culture.
Canadian.
You know,
Good for you, man. Canadian Thanksgiving's already happened. That was last year, and last year. No.
Is it a leap year thing? Like, what's going on? Like, yes, it's Thanksgiving this year. Let's go.
Thanksgiving, the great historically accurate holiday,
right.
can only happen once every 4 years. No, it was last month. It's in October. We do the exact same thing. We just do it before you.
Oh.
We're more keen.
Well, surely,
we just give more thanks.
No, okay, wait. Can we have an objective discussion here about whether Thanksgiving in October or November is better?
That's just a bad idea.
It's clearly November. You already have a major holiday in October.
Exactly.
Yeah, which is Halloween, right?
Right.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
why are we
No,
doubling up?
I don't disagree. We have Remembrance Day in November though. That's kind of like our long weekend thing.
Oh, is it
we
like
we give thanks to our veterans.
Oh, okay. Yeah, we have
Veterans Day.
I know that you guys have like a bunch of days.
Yeah, we've got a bunch. Yeah, you know.
We have one. You guys have like 12.
Military machine. Okay, yeah, we can't get started.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
no, but we do the same
it.
thing. It's like the same foods.
Okay.
We've already had it. Turkey, pie, stuffing, all that stuff. There's like a few like specific dishes that Americans do a lot of. Like candied yams with like marshmallows.
Yeah.
All those things. Not really a Canadian thing at all. Like
big respect.
Doesn't exist.
Those things don't deserve to exist.
I feel very similarly. My girlfriend, who is sitting in the other room, is weeping right now hearing that. She's a big yam candy.
She can dry her tears with a better side dish, like anything else. Like literally anything else.
But then aside from that, it's the same. We don't take it as seriously. You guys have like Black Friday. That's associated with that's
well, that's
we have like one day.
All about it.
We don't have a parade. We don't have like football going on. We just give thanks like humans do.
Right, something like that.
You celebrate the real holiday, while we do distractions.
Right. What's your favorite Thanksgiving meal? Part of the Thanksgiving meal, though. In Canada.
For me,
yeah. Besides maple syrup.
Canada. Besides maple syrup, I was gonna say there's some good maple syrup around the time of year though. Yeah. Like I'm being so. Have you guys ever had maple syrup on like snow? Like hot maple syrup on snow? You just eat it.
No, man. Who can say yes to that? That is the most like niche thing I've ever heard in my life.
I know it. Saying it to you sounds crazy. Say it to like any Canadian.
Yeah.
That's so fire. It's so good. You put a stick in it. It's wild.
Wait, you put a stick in it? You literally get snow on a stick and then put some maple syrup.
I'm telling you right now, it's snow packed out. You like boil up some maple syrup. You pour it into the snow so it like cools down really fast. You stick like a popsicle stick in it. And then you eat it like it's like a popsicle, like a candy bar or whatever.
Bro, it sounds great. I'm not knocking.
It goes crazy.
I'm sure it does.
But I realized saying it sounds like the most comically Canadian thing ever.
Yes.
Like we take our snow, we take our wood, we take our maple syrup, and we just eat that shit.
Okay, I didn't think about like boiling it. I thought it was like you like go to the tree taps and it's like
that's
warm
what I thought.
coming out of the tree.
Yeah.
And so you
I was
just
like, why would it be
grab
warm?
some of the snow that's accumulated underneath the tree taps and like eat that. And I'm like, that's what you do? Like that's so funny.
That's our main source of sustenance.
No.
No, the goat Thanksgiving dish has to be stuffing, right? At least for me, that
Yeah.
shit goes so hard.
Well, now
Turkey
there's
and
two
stuffing. Turkey's
types,
pretty
right?
good.
It's dry stuffing and like wet stuffing.
Wet
right?
stuffing.
You're a
Obviously,
wet stuffing main. That
I'm-
I was so with you until you said
Wow.
that. No, it's dry stuffing. all the way.
Really?
The crunch is what makes it, man. Everything else with the Thanksgiving meal is soft, right? You know, you might get a little crunch on the biscuit, but it's mashed potatoes, it's turkey, that's soft and moist. The crunch provided by the hard stuffing is what brings it the balance it needs.
Right, but I'm a flavor guy, you know, and the wet
Oh, wow.
stuffing just is.
The flavor is really
he
good.
said, "Oh, he said, oh wow," and then
Yeah,
goodness.
like aggro just doesn't like flavor. He's just like over there eating like sawdust, and you're like, sorry. I
mean,
like
honestly,
flavor with my food.
That is not the first nor the last time I'll be told I don't value flavor because I'm too picky of an eater. That's a great point, to be fair. Barry, first of all, before you get into your favorite Thanksgiving foods, wet or dry stuffing, the people need to know.
I mean, I like wet.
Let's fucking
but
go,
I
man.
don't.
Oh,
think
come on, no, don't let me early
I've
celebrate that.
ever
That's
had
crazy.
dry. I'm sorry. I don't
Okay,
think I've ever
okay,
had
okay.
dry, so I don't really know what that is.
It's just like baked in the oven instead of like inside the turkey. It's like in a sheet pan, and then you still like
maybe.
put a little bit of like you can still put like some turkey jus on there or things like that to moisten it up, but it just like it doesn't get as it's just like the wet stuffing. I just feel like it gets too soggy being in there. You know what I mean? The flavor is great. But it's like
I will say, like,
it's
I think, like, on paper, your point makes a lot of sense, but when I actually play that patch, it doesn't work for me.
right. No, and you know what? That's one of the 3 P's.
One of the 3 P's.
It's put stuffing.
I'm sure there's something there, but it wasn't.
It
found
wasn't
in
that.
time.
It wasn't that.
There was a banger, and
yeah. Yeah. If I would have, in my casting prime, I probably could have had something for you there. But again, washed.
Washed. Yeah,
Barry, what's your favorite Thanksgiving food?
This one's hard. I would just go with mac and cheese, and then mashed potatoes is a very close second.
Mm-hmm.
Fire.
And then rolls or like whatever bread choice, because I've been a bread
Top 10.
fanatic since like I've been a baby.
Yeah, love the rolls.
Any like
Did you say
crescent
rolls were top 10?
Yeah, like foods,
Aggro?
period, potentially.
Oh, foods. Period. Oh,
Yeah,
okay,
I love
sorry. I
rolls.
thought you were saying like top 10 Thanksgiving foods. I was like,
Oh,
what is
no.
there? 12?
Yeah, no,
like,
right? Yeah, it's like salt, pepper, like, I'm like putting it down individually. No, that is fair based on what I said. No,
what
rolls
was
are
the
great.
roll you said, Barry? Barry, you were saying a specific roll. I think
Oh,
you were
like-
coming at us with.
Crescent rolls
Yep.
or like yeast rolls, I would say, are like top 2.
Crescent rolls
Man.
take the cake for me personally.
What are both of those? And this, I don't even
You
know
will
if it's
know-
a
you'll
Canadian thing or a
know.
me thing. Yeah.
No, it's a. You'll
Crescent
know
rolls are
crescent
like
rolls are just like
Pillsbury Doughboy.
they're like the midway point between a croissant and a roll. You know.
Mhm. Very buttery, very.
The
flaky,
face
yeah.
you're making
I'm-
is saying you don't know what we're talking
No,
about. here.
no, I do know what these are. And I'm sure that I'm I just
No,
we
say
don't
what
we
you
don't
think,
get down
Max. Don't sugarcoat it with I'm sure they're
We-
great.
I actually I think that sometimes at least from where I'm from, we don't get indulgent enough. Buttery,
Yeah.
flaky bread rolls sound lovely with a Thanksgiving meal. We're like we got like, whole grain
Oh my god.
balls of dough.
I'm so
Whole
sorry.
grain whole grain, if it's done right, is very tasty. If it's not, it's like it's awful.
I think it's done right. Like I think we got
Okay,
good stuff
good.
going on,
Wait,
but it's
Is it
but
on
the
the level?
but the indulgence of a crescent roll, I have never had a crescent roll at Thanksgiving.
Oh, they're great. We're gonna make literally like 3 sheets of them at our house. I'm not even kidding.
They look amazing.
Very tasty.
Were the multigrain rolls as good as the best multigrain item on the planet, which is of course multigrain Tostitos?
Tostitos
Max
scoops,
and
yeah.
I's personal favorite. Barry is also.
Insane.
You tried them, right, and agreed that they were
Yeah,
banging.
very good, very very.
That
very
that's
good.
the
They're-
best multigrain item I've ever had.
It's
Yeah.
they don't compete with the Tostitos
What
multigrain
could?
scoops. Not sponsored, but
Yes.
they don't need to be because I don't care. I'm just putting you on to good food.
Yep, multigrain Tostito scoops, unbelievable.
They go insane.
Insane. Yeah, for me, I'm a turkey main. I love turkey. I think the side dishes on Thanksgiving are They deserve their flowers. They're all great except for the yams garbage and also cranberry sauce. Why? But mashed potatoes and gravy, mac and cheese, crescent rolls, Max's family is multigrain rolls. All stuffing of both varieties still very good. Dry obviously gets the preference. But the turkey gets overlooked because it's hard to cook a turkey properly. But I'm lucky enough that my family, they are very, very good at making Thanksgiving turkey. It's always like so moist and delicious, and I love eating turkey with some gravy on it. Dude, I'm so excited for Thanksgiving. Just like talking about this.
Just hearing you talk about it, I'm like, I am now sad that our Thanksgiving is in the past because this, post time change November could really use a healthy serving of turkey. Yeah,
dude, you should just do another Thanksgiving on American Thanksgiving.
That's what I was gonna say.
But
just
but with like crescent rolls and like KFC, like just like the most like overindulgent, like as nothing to drink except for 2 liters of Coke. Like that's it. Like that's.
I'll take a drive down to the States. I can go show up at some.
Hey, you can come to our place. You're welcome.
Yeah, it's like a 20-hour drive. You think?
Is that it? Surely it's more than that. To Atlanta?
To Atlanta? Yeah. Hold on. Give me a quick thing. I'll tell you right now how long it is.
You're west coast of Canada.
Yeah.
Oh,
West Coast.
No. Oh no.
Yeah, no, I'm West Coast and Canada. I'm way away.
Yeah, we always make fun of him because like we have a balance meeting. He's like, "All right, time for me to go eat breakfast," and we're like, "It's 1:00, Max. What's wrong with you?" And it never gets.
And it's always really funny, and I don't like hop off the call and like just sob silently.
Right. Never does.
Holy crap! You are right. I was off by half. It is a 42-hour drive.
I was gonna say you best get in the car soon, my friend. Boy,
yeah, I think I can make it. Honestly, though, but if I play Mercury the whole way there, like
true,
that's one ult.
That's one of the underrated things about my Mercury is that it actually translates into like live travel.
It does, yeah. I've seen it happen. It's truly a remarkable thing to witness. All right, well, Max, thanks so much for coming on, my friend. It was great talking to you. I'm sure we will get comments that people want the scrim data. We'll have to verify with some people that we can, as long as it's old stuff, like surely no one will care, right?
Do you want me to start releasing like the current scrim data just like publicly? How do we
no one would be upset about that. No one would be upset about that.
Find out how many Jingwei games I played in scrims?
In scrims.
Could I?
Yeah, not right. Yeah, that'll take them some time, right?
Oh yeah,
can you do it quickly,
I could find out. Finding in scrims would take a second. I could tell you how many lifetime Jing games you have across anything ever,
including scrims.
We'll find out.
Be separate. Oh, we're gonna find out.
We are going to find out. It should be lifetime ever.
I could just subtract my ranked games from that, and then because I don't think I've played Jingwei and well, maybe like a few assaults.
You have absolutely played a Jingwei arena game and just been terrible. I was scrolling through my media tab looking for a particular video, and I saw a tweet that I made of I had screenshotted Destiny's. It was like Derpy Bear playing Jingwei, and she had a diamond Jingwei, and I was like, they'll burn down the whole house. They're infested. And I was like, wow, that's a banger tweet.
Yeah, I mean, I think that this is the number. I think we said that your ranked games were this high. Do you think Jingwei is your most played god of all time across all situations?
No
okay,
way.
no.
Not even
okay.
He was a natural Jingwei. Didn't even need to practice.
We have you at 210 ranked games with Jing and 673 total games with Jing.
Yeah, that sounds about right. Scrims.
Yeah, because
like 400 games of Jingwei. It's God, that is disgusting.
Everyone always was like, "You gotta stop playing Jingwei ranked." I was like, I literally don't play this character. Like outside of scrims, like I would play her like when she was super
400
meta.
GWA games in
Yeah,
Scrim.
and I was like, you don't need to practice his character outside of scrims. Like that's literally it.
That
and-
is hilarious to me.
Hachi might be past Jing, honestly.
In terms of scrim games,
Yeah.
Well, that's acceptable. You know, you just had a
Yeah.
lot of scrim games. That's fine. You have to play some.
yeah, you may be right.
My Ullr's
Hachi,
got
you had-
3.
Yeah, I think it's very. You also have about, assuming that ranked and scrims are the only places you're playing these gods. You have also about
Yeah.
400 scrim games with Hachi. Yeah.
Yeah. sounds about right.
Just-
That's a lot.
I, you know what? Tell me the funny number stuff, and we can put together a fun show.
I think we absolutely
I'm in
could.
for it.
I think everyone will be. All right, thanks so much, Max. Thanks everyone for listening. If you forgot, because it was 2 hours ago, legitimately, factormeals.com/backliners50 to get 50% off there. And then betterhelp.com/backliners are our 2 sponsors for the week. So big shout outs to them. We'll be back. Maybe. Well, next week is like Thanksgiving, so maybe we aren't back next week, eh, Barry? Maybe we're taking next week off for Thanksgiving.
Do you really just say A?
Well, he's here.
Let's go. Let's go.
Hey?
I'm
That's what it's all
infested.
about.
Dude,
Yeah,
I wasn't
man,
wait that
I'm
long for Thanksgiving food. Check our Twitters. We'll talk about when we're going live next. All that kind of stuff. We gotta get out of here for the love of God. Barrett, you know what to do.
Bye.
Oh, it's just buttery.
That was a
clean.
good one.
Like
That
a
was a
crescent
really good one.
roll by right there. Buttery,
I was gonna say.
flaky, delicious.
Yeah, that's
The 3-piece.
That's what it is.
My toenail broke off during this podcast somehow.